They're going to go get their Letterman jackets again. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-6 against the Titans since Pat McAfee came up here and did his wrestling announcement. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since I was a senior in high school.
What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to another edition of the Titans Global Podcast. I'm your host, Maximus Titan Fan, and with me, as always, is my cohort, Link.
What's going on, guys? Tough one to react to, but somebody's got to do it. That's what we're here for.
That's it. It comes with the territory, whether it's good or bad. We're here to break it down and share it with all you lovely people. So I guess we need to start with, we'll talk about the game stats. Then we'll talk about, I guess, points as we go through there. Different things that we saw or thought that didn't go the way we thought. Anyway, to start off, we'll talk about Levis. He did actually a pretty decent job, but it was a little too late. He went 13-17, 158, 2 touchdowns. One quarterback rating of 143.8. Now it says he has 1 fumble. I don't agree with that stat.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's one thing that Aaron Brewer's got to clean up, man. This is the second game now where he's high snapped it to Levis, and Levis has had a hard time pulling it. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yep.
Like I said, beyond that, little too late. I'm not sure why the offense decided, to wait until the fourth quarter to, pull out that great trick play.
Yeah.
I thought it was really smooth. I don't know. There's a lot of things that happened and went for the Titans. They had hot moments and cold moments. You could see the potential, but they just cannot be consistent and sloppy gameplay, man.
Yeah, and not a lot of deep shots. And I understand that's not on Levis. He didn't have a lot of time back there. But to be fair, the deep shots he had, they worked. The one to Hopkins at the end of the third, and then the one on that last drive to Chris Moore down the middle to set up that Simmons touchdown later on. The deep shots were there. I mean, he hit his guys, and that's really all you can ask for right now with the time he's got. But I mean, I still haven't seen anything that takes away from the promise, the ability that I think he has. I mean, he did what he could. He's still a rookie. He's learning. He's growing. I mean, I've got no complaint on Levis this week.
Yeah, I actually liked one of the things that Mike Vrabel said in his press conference, that he hasn't made the same mistake twice.
Yep, absolutely.
And he takes a little bit of risky shots. I see a lot of people come down on him for his risky shots, and I mean, come on, man. You got 2 seconds to dissect defense and what's happening, find your receiver and hit him before you get hit.
Yep.
Because if you get 2 seconds, you're lucky on this team.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, even some of the ones that he missed that people could label risky, the receiver's hands touch the ball. And at the end of the day, the receivers are professionals too. And if it touches your hands,
catch it.
Anybody can say you can make that play. So I know there was one over the middle to Hopkins, and even the announcers kind of questioned. I was like, man, those are catches that Hopkins makes 9 times out of 10. I mean, he's putting the ball up there. He's trying to put it where only his guy can get it. I know there's been a couple erratic ones, but again, like you said, a lot of those he's rolling out. He's got guys in his face, or he's actively taking a hit. So yeah, I mean, he's doing what he can. So yeah, again, no real complaint for me on Willis or on Levis. Sorry.
Yeah. He looked sharp, man.
Yep.
Stop the running though. Don't ask that man to run the ball. That's idiotic. No. He takes enough hits behind the line.
Yep.
Speaking of running, there wasn't a whole lot of it. Henry 10 rushes for 38 yards, Spears 4 for 14, and Moore 1 for 38 on a nice trick end around. Again, beautiful play call, beautiful execution on that play. Yep. And then they turn around and just consistency.
Yep.
Consistency and penalties. You'll hear me say that a lot throughout this show because that's literally what killed us the whole game.
Absolutely. We
couldn't take advantage of any opportunities that we had. It was sad. Receiving, Hopkins, there's a great spread of the ball, even with the small amount of targets that was allotted, he still spread the ball around a lot. So good on him on that. But honorable mentions, I guess, is Hopkins 4 for 5 targets, 59 yards, 14.8 average, which is pretty sweet, and a touchdown. It's not a great number, but like I said, too little, too late. Came in the part where I don't even know if the starters were on the field. To be honest, I wasn't really paying that much attention at that point in the game. I had some friends over, and we got to talking, and I lost track of what was going on. Anyway,
one that surprised me, staying on the receivers, Kyle Phillips, 11 snaps, 28% of the snaps. Now, given and something I'm going to hit big on a couple of times, there was 38 plays ran by the Titans. I mean, forget scoring. You can't stay on the field. So of those 38 snaps, Kyle Phillips only took 11 of them. And I really thought he'd be a bigger part of this game plan against the Jags, and I'm still confused as to why he wasn't. I don't know if there's something behind the scenes, if there was some kind of tweak. I don't know, but nothing's came out, and 11 snaps is way too low for Kyle Phillips at this point. I mean, he's proven the last 2 weeks that he can be a guy. So that's a big one in that receiving core that I just don't fully understand.
Yeah, they need to build on that.
Yeah,
I mean that was the one little bright spot that, other than Will Levis playing particularly well on a bad team. Those two things were a bright spot.
Yeah,
it's just like Spears. He was great for a good little bit, and then all of a sudden he kind of fell off a little bit. He showed up a little bit more this week, but.
Yeah, and I feel like going back to what we talked about, I don't know if it was in the post game last week or the pregame of this week, but he's having to chip block a lot, and it's tough for him to kind of get out in his space because he's still consistently making guys miss. That's one thing about him that I feel like still shows a lot of promise. There was one play, I don't remember when it was, but they were trying to pick up a first down. I don't remember if it was later in the game. But I mean, he was dead to rights at like a 5-yard game, at 5-yard gain, and he kept pushing, he kept spinning, he kept going, and almost picked up a first down. So I feel like when he gets his opportunities, he's doing a great job. But again, he's having to stay in and chip block so much that he just doesn't have time to be what he is.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. That's a lot, it's a lot of what people are saying about Chig, and it's like, I don't know if that's exactly what's going on with Chig because he's dropping a lot of passes.
Yeah.
But yeah, see, that's a great point right there. Old football coach or wife actually told me that old basketball coach of hers, that's what it was. If you can touch the ball with your hands, it only takes another inch or two of effort to catch the ball. So if you can touch it, you can catch it.
Yep.
It's a good point. And a lot of drops, man. But again, only 38 opportunities.
Yep.
So not a whole lot to go around when you're not consistently on the field. When you go 3 and out, and 3 and out and 3. I mean, it's just even when you do have success, you somehow figure out a way to
And just to put that into perspective again, you had the same amount of drives as the Jags. They had 69 plays. So I mean that just shows you the difference. Same amount of drives over double the amount of plays by the Jags. I mean, and that's, I know we're going to get into the defense, but that goes back to third down consistency, being able to get off the field. And I know, again, that defense is tired. I mean, when you're running out there taking that many snaps because your offense can't pick up one first down when they're 3 and out, I mean, that's gonna carry over to the defense. And I know we'll get to that, but yeah, that play count to me just really, really sticks out as a glaring problem.
Yeah, that was one of the big stats that spoke to me, was 38 plays.
Yep.
That's no bueno.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
There was a lot of using Simmons on the offense.
Mm-hmm.
He created a big hole on a Derrick Henry touchdown. Was that this week? I think.
Simmons caught the touchdown.
Yes, he did catch a touchdown this week. Yeah. Oh no, it was on the big 4th down try. That's what it was.
Yes.
On the 4th down try. That's what I'm thinking. Sorry, he did do a touchdown last week, but I was having a little bit of I don't know, overlap in my brain or something.
Fun fact: he is now tied for career touchdowns.
Oh God, don't
with
say it.
Treylon Burks. He is in elite company with Mr. Burks for one touchdown.
Goodness. He's gonna get one more and then just pass him up.
Yeah.
As far as the special teams go, because I'm just going to gloss right over the fact that NWI, Wiley, and Henry and Chig all got catches, but they just didn't amount to anything. And Spears and Phillips, but that's not really their fault. Anyway, special teams, Falk hit 2 extra points. Nothing really to talk about there. Stonehouse, I think he had 4 punts for like 200 yards, 53 yard average. He had a long for 73 yards though, which is pretty sweet. And I think he dropped 2 inside the 20, which, but returns. What is it with our punt returners? It's never our kick returners, but our punt returners. What is it? Garrard's done a great job, though. I'm not really complaining. I just hope that doesn't affect him and become a thing.
Yeah, to me, it looked like kind of a freak play. I mean, Garrard lost the ball. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. He was spun around. The defender, he did a great job getting his hand on the ball, raking at it. I think that's just something that's going to come with time. I feel like I don't feel like he's a liability yet. And I mean, to be fair, there wasn't much left to play for at that point, but he should have held on to it, but the defender did a great job. I don't think that's going to be a problem going forward. I know people are having, fear flashes with Phillips and what he did back there, but I still think you keep him back there.
It wasn't just Phillips last year. It was anybody we put back there.
That's true.
I mean, we put our number 1 receiver at the time. We put our number 1 guy back there because we were so afraid of not letting anybody be able to just catch the ball.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, no, I understand why people are a little gun shy when they see the punt returner lose the ball.
Yeah.
Spears did all right, though. Kickoff returns, 20 average, 26 yard long. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can just fair catch it, though, and then you don't have to worry about fumbles and stuff. But I understand he's a guy that makes people miss on the regular, so he's always going to try and hit that home run.
Yep. And
I'm okay with that. As long as you're averaging close to 25 yard, that 25 yard line or more, I don't care. Do your thing, man.
Yeah, and a few of those, I mean, it's later in the game. You're trying to make something happen. You get a little desperate. I mean, yeah, it's, again, I don't think it'll be a huge problem going forward with either one of them. I think Spears, he's a smart guy. He's going to know when to tuck that thing away, call a fair catch. But, yeah, special teams, I'm not as concerned about. It's the offense and defense. That's your biggest problem right now.
Man. I didn't even want to bring up the defensive stats. Like, literally, I didn't write hardly any of them down. I just really wrote, The only stat I really wrote was that we gave up 390 yards.
Yeah.
390 yards.
Yeah. And
And
I've got to
4
kind of,
passing touchdowns.
yeah.
4.
Yeah. And I've got to swallow my pride here a little bit. Because I talked very highly of Christian Fulton, but he has become a liability again. I saw a stat. So here's his pass coverage stats. He targeted 6 times, allowed 6 receptions for 115 yards, 19.2 yards per catch he allowed, and he had 1 missed tackle. And the biggest thing to me, he got beat by Ridley multiple times. There was one where he just fell down. Just straight up fell down. And then towards the end of the game where he broke coverage, they still had a chance, but he broke coverage to go try to make a tackle on Lawrence, who was scrambling. And I understand that he may have not known where the line of scrimmage was, but you had help. You had linebackers coming in to make the tackle. You've got to hold up in coverage. That was kind of the dagger when they picked that first down up. So he, like I said, I talked highly of him, but something's got to change. And I know you've got Bunning out right now, but you may not get Bunning back.
Well, they benched him at the end of the game. I mean, they benched him.
Yeah.
Dude, do you know how bad you have to be to get benched for Trey Avery?
Yeah.
The guy who single-handedly, lost the Colts game for us on defense?
Yep.
You know how bad you have to be for that guy to be like, yeah, no, we want him in.
Yeah. Fulton struggled for sure. And McCrary wasn't much better. I mean, we've seen some bright spots with him, like the interception from last week. But, I mean, those 2 penalties that he gave up, those PI calls, I mean, that was –
all right. Well, the first one, look, you say what you want, but the first one, the refs just missed a blatant face mask.
They did.
I mean, he even tried to tell him, hands to the face, deep, offensive hands to the. It's exactly what should have been called. They should have said fouls on both.
Yep, I agree. I agree. But you can't put yourself in a position.
It's in the past.
Yeah.
Yep. And I don't do that crap. But I agree. And the second one, man, that is tough, man. Yeah. I don't know. It's just like I was watching a late night game where 2 guys were running full speed, and right at the last second, the quarterback almost you can see him kind of lean back, and the 2 guys landed just kind of on top of him instinctually. I mean, you fall down, that's what happens. And they called it roughing the passer, and I was like, how do you even, at that weight and that speed, how do you stop? And just like McCurry, when you're running full out, and if you watch the replay, he even points at the safety, and he's telling his safety, I need help because I'm already beat.
Yeah.
And at that time, that's when the ball comes in. It was just really bad timing on his part, but I understand what you're saying about, making the plays. And, you got to clean that stuff up, man. And Fulton, there's really no excuse. And I don't really understand that guy because, look, over the last 3 weeks before this last week, the 3 previous weeks, he played on fire almost. Absolutely. He was one of the top cornerbacks 2 weeks ago.
Absolutely.
And I mean the top in the whole NFL defensive ranking. He was graded as one of the top. And now he was so bad that they took him out for Trey Avery. So there's just, again, I'm going to say it one more time. Consistency and penalties is what killed us in this game.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Ridley, I can't remember who the other guy was that I said, the tight end, Evan Ingram. I said he would have a big day, and I said Ridley would have a big day.
Yep.
Boy, was I right about one.
Yeah.
To the tune of 103 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Just made us look silly almost at points.
Yep.
But
I guess you had some bright spots. Landry had a pretty good grade according to PFF. He had the only quarterback hit of the day. Jeffrey Simmons, he's doing what he can, I guess. I know he's showing a lot of frustration right now. You can see him on the sidelines we got to figure this out. Even in the post-game press conference, he was really speaking out again about guys that, really want to be here. Um, and I mean, I think that's something that they're going to have to figure out, you know, down the stretch and kind of figure out who you got and who wants to be here. But again, Landry had a decent day. Aziz had another decent day. I mean, he had some good deflections, some good defensive coverage. I feel like he was kind of a bright spot this
He
week.
was, and I have to tip my hat to you, man. You were talking about his coverage last week, and I was like, I don't really like that. You know, a linebacker streaking down the field to barely make the play. But then he did it again in this game. He was on a wide receiver, and he actually covered him and deflected the ball. It was hats off Aziz, hats off to you, Link, man.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes,
but again, I think he's a huge bright spot going forward, especially at that linebacker position, because you need that guy who can drop in pass coverage. That can really, you know, shut down a tight end. That can help you from having to double a guy. So yeah,
well, it helps your safeties, man. Then you can have your safeties actually be safeties. You know what I mean? They don't have to come down and help with the run and all that crap.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, so I mean, those were the few bright spots on defense.
That's about it. You can say.
Yeah, that's about it. Yep.
Man, I just don't know where our pressure went. You know, like we had the first game. I think we had like 6 sacks or 7 sacks or something like that. And I was so fired up. I was like, oh man, we're gonna be eating quarterbacks all year.
Yep.
Man.
And I was excited about this game going in. I mean, I felt like you had good matchups. The rookie, hey, hats off to the rookie right tackle from the Jags. I mean, he 100% of the snaps. He hung in there. I mean, you felt like he kind of shut down Jeff at times. But that's the thing. That wasn't the best offensive line of the NFL. I mean, if anything, that's a middle of the pack offensive line.
Yeah.
You should have had a lot. I'm not even talking about sacks. I'm just talking about pressures, quarterback hits. I mean, they should have feasted on that offensive line, and it, like you said, it was just non-existent. I don't know where it's gone.
I don't either, man.
Yeah.
It's really, really sad. I literally have on my notes for the defense, no turnovers, 1 sack, not enough.
Yep.
Defense continues to do less with more.
Yep.
Last year, we had less than we have this year. We were way less healthy. We didn't have Harold Landry. We didn't have Autry was on and off the field. Simmons was playing with a bum ankle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't have Aziz. We had Zach Cunningham. And come on, man.
Yeah.
We have such a more talented defense, and we're doing less with it.
Yep.
How does that happen?
Well,
if that's not a coaching issue.
I think part of it's a coaching issue, but I think again, it's so hard for these guys to constantly be on the field. I mean, when the offense can't pick up first downs and the other team is running so many plays, and you don't even get a real break on the sidelines. And I feel like a lot of that contributes to it. I hate to say it, but the offensive line isn't only affecting the offense. I mean, when you're 3 and out this frequently, the defense can't hold up that long. They can't.
Hey, and what kills me is we have this 2-headed attack of Henry and Spears, which people say Henry's, busted or old or what. Man, just look at the tape. Dude gets hit like a yard, 2 yards behind the line all the time, almost every run.
Not only that, I've got a stat: 42% of his runs this year are against an 8-man box.
Yeah.
When he is in the game, they are stacking the box because they say, you know what? Even if you don't run it, we're going to get through the line and get to the quarterback. You don't even have time for play action. So when he's in the game, it's an 8-man box half the time. And that kind of blows my mind.
They're blitzing.
Yeah. And I mean, they've got it to a point where he's not a threat. He's a red zone threat. He's still a red zone threat, and he's still a short yardage threat, but he's not getting to the second level, and defenses know that. So they're just going to zero blitz every play because it works, because the line can't hold up.
Did another crazy stat, percentages and stuff like that. Will Levis faced 82% blitz.
Yep.
82%.
Yep.
They literally just pinned their ears back and came and dared us on the back end to throw the ball. Because, man, they were sometimes going with an empty linebacker all-out blitz. I mean, what we call the all blitz, where you blitz literally everybody but 4 dudes that go back with the receivers or 3, however many receivers they have. Everybody else goes. And you're one-on-one everywhere else. And they did that multiple times.
And guess what?
No defense for it, or no offense for it.
Yeah, and it ain't gonna change. I mean, these coaches, they watch tape. They know what works now. I mean, it's not gonna get any better. Your line may get better, but facing these blitzes, it's not gonna get any easier because they're
Not
gonna keep
until we
bringing them.
start beating them. Yeah,
Absolutely. They're just gonna keep bringing them. Every team in the NFL knows right now, if we play the Titans, we're gonna blitz, and we're gonna blitz a lot, and we're gonna have success with it. And I mean, that's you just the only thing you can do is get better as an offensive line. And I don't know that they have the talent to do that, unfortunately. I'm not trying to be negative, but I don't know that the talent's there.
No, you're absolutely right, man. Not only is the talent not there, but they haven't, even if they were talented as a group, they haven't had enough time together.
There's no
cohesion. Exactly. There hasn't been the same 5 men on the field for more than like 2 or 3 games this season.
You're right.
It's been changing constantly. They constantly are shuffling somebody in or out of the lineup.
Yeah.
So
I mean, just this week with Hubbard, I mean, you can't stay healthy. You can't get on the field because you're suspended NPF. You can't. I mean, it's just it's problem after problem after problem, and it's not even a lot of these aren't even performance problems. I know they're not performing great, but you're fighting injuries, you're fighting off the field stuff. You're putting yourself in a position to lose games by doing things like that.
Yeah, and another thing said in the Vrabel press conference that I didn't really like is that he said that he didn't plan on any of his positional coaches going anywhere.
Nope.
Which, to me, is just, I guess Vrabel being Vrabel and being his stubborn self.
Yeah.
But, take a lesson from the guy before you, man.
Yeah.
That's what got him fired.
Yep.
I hope that doesn't happen to Vrabel because I think he's actually a good coach. He's just stuck in his ways on his.
Yeah, and I was going to try to avoid that. I mean, the seat's not hot, but it's warm. I mean, I think there's no way that he doesn't get another year because they're going to say in the back of their mind, they're thinking, okay, we've got all this cap space. We're going to get more talent. We're going to give him another year to take some talented guys and see what he can do with them. But you're 3-14 in the last 17. And there's no way that the seat can't be a little hot without at least more than 3 wins. I don't want to see him go. I think he's still got great potential as a head coach. I think he can win with talented guys, but he needs people that can develop. And nobody on this coaching staff has showed me they can develop at any position.
Yeah, and I wasn't really trying to bring that up, but I will go ahead and say on the 2 sides of the coin for me, the one side is the stubbornness and you've lost a lot of games recently, especially all the road games. You've lost like 16 road games now or something like 13, 14. I don't know, somewhere around there. A lot. Yeah. I've lost count. That's bad. So the production's not there. And if all the fans start screaming, because there's a lot of Vrabel supporters still in the fan base. It's actually about what I see. It's pretty close to 50-50 right now. There's about half the fan base screaming, fire him. There's the other half saying he's one of the best coaches we've ever had. So I think as long as it stays that way, he's cool at least for another year.
Yep, agreed.
Although if all the fans turn on him, I don't know. But on the flip side of the coin, somebody brought up to me, and it was a really, really good point. If the brass goes and fires Mike Vrabel after they go and get a GM with Mike Vrabel's help to specifically help Mike Vrabel, that really doesn't give that GM a whole lot of confidence. And you know what I'm saying? Like that just doesn't really mesh well. You don't even give the guy a full off season to make it better. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. My fear is, and I don't think it's happened yet, but it was brought up at the press conference. The biggest thing is going to be he can't lose that locker room, because that's going to impede on some of these rookies' progression even more so than it may already be impeded on. I and he took great offense to that question from
I was
Teron
gonna say, did you
Davenport.
see him call him out?
Yeah, he did not like that question, but is that because
It's a
the
fair
locker room's
question.
fine, or is that because in the back of your mind you're thinking,
The same
have I
thing.
lost the locker room? I mean, that's the biggest thing for me, because if you lose the locker room, I don't care how good of a coach you are. Bill Belichick's never lost the locker room, but if he did, I think you kind of see what's happening this year with him. I mean, it doesn't matter what you can scheme up. It doesn't matter how good your play calling is, what your decision making skills are. If you lose the locker room, you've lost.
Yeah, and usually that boils down to just a few key players
Yep.
on offense and defense.
Yep.
And right now he's kind of put all his eggs in the Will Levis basket, which he wasn't very nice to
No.
in the beginning. So I'm sure, if push come to shove, Levis would be like, yeah, I'm cool. I don't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It, like you said, it's starting to heat up, and I hope that it changes, because I do like Vrabel.
Yeah.
But I don't like the way he's handled losing. But
No.
I mean, come on, man. Does anybody like losing? And let me ask you another question. I'm a mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and sometimes there are days, when I'm working on a car and I just can't get it right.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't, man. It doesn't matter what I do, but I go home, I sleep on it, I wake up, I come in fresh. All of a sudden I figure something out, or one of my colleagues figures something out, for whatever. Anyway, point is, sometimes you do everything right and it still don't work.
Yep.
But your reaction to that
Yep.
is all under your control.
Yep.
Like if I was to blow up at work every day that something like that was happening, and tell my boss that, you don't need to be asking me questions about why the car ain't running. It just ain't running.
Yep.
You can't react like that.
Yep.
And expect everybody to like it and just take it.
Yep.
But at the same time, if you're that guy working on it, and it just keeps not working for you,
Mm-hmm.
that's gotta be frustrating.
Yeah.
I know what it would be like if I tried to fix a car 13 times in a row, and 13 times in a row I failed.
Yeah.
I would start to question myself. Am I a good mechanic? I don't know.
Well, and to build on that, I mean, yeah, Vrabel has experience as a coach, but not a head coach. The basis for Mike Vrabel's experience is a player, and he didn't lose much as a player down in Foxborough.
Nope.
He didn't lose much as a player, and I think that when he did lose, his mentality was to be pissed off and go fix it the next game. And like you said, when you can't fix it the next game or the next game or the next game, he's trying to motivate the way that he would want to be motivated as a player. And I don't think that registers with everybody on that team. And I think that's kind of where you see these guys, these players that come in as coaches. I think that's kind of where you see not a problem or a downfall, but a difference. Because the guys with pure coaching experience, with pure coaching backgrounds, they've been through times like this, and they know how to fix it, and they know how to bounce back for it. At least the successful ones do. And I think this is the first true adversity that Mike Vrabel has faced since he's been here and since he's been a coach. And he's got to figure it out, and he's got to figure it out kind of quick if he wants to stay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with that to some extent. You say it's the first, but it really started last season. But yeah, same.
Towards the end of the season. I mean,
we're
still, that losing streak started after being a successful 5-2, if I'm remember. I mean, you had success early. You were actually performing better than most people thought that you would, and then the adversity came later in the year. Exactly. So you still haven't bounced back from last year. This goes all the way back to that 7-game losing streak to miss the playoffs and put Jacksonville in the playoffs. I mean, you still haven't recovered from that, and that's what I'm saying. If you don't figure it out by the end of this year going into next year, and next year starts off bad, are we talking about this midseason next year? You know what I'm saying? Something's got to change.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't disagree that it's not a topic worth at least bringing up at this point.
Yeah.
Before this point, I would have, before 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would have said, no, that's moot.
Right.
It's not even worth talking about. But it is now. It honestly is it could be a reality at the end of the season. We could be looking at, trying to figure out not only what our future is going to look like, but who's going to be the head coach.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying fire the guy, and we've still got a lot of games left this season. And hey, winning fixes everything. If they go win the next 3 games, nobody's even talking about this. So we've got to react day to day to it. But again, winning fixes everything. And you want a high draft pick, but I want to see this team win. I want to see them figure it out. I want to see them get better. I mean, I'm honestly at this point, I'm still more excited about the games remaining than I am the draft. I mean, I still want to see him win.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm the same way, and I think that a lot of the hardcore Titans fans are. That's really what we're going to see now is the difference between are you a real fan or are you a fair weather fan? Because if you're a real fan, you're locked in. You're still trying to, still hoping they win games. Like last week when I was watching it, and things started going really badly. The real difference between me this year and last year is, I'm not cursing as much or screaming at the TV. My face doesn't go bright red and my blood pressure doesn't go up because I'm kind of expecting it already. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It just, I don't have a lot of hope for the rest of the season. I'd like to see us at least win a couple more games. We got our 2 best chances at winning the next 2 weeks. If we don't win next week at Carolina, oh man, that's going to be a hard show to do on Monday.
Carolina's a home game. You're still undefeated at home this year. That is the one silver lining. Hey, you have not lost at Nissan Stadium this year. We are undefeated this year at Nissan Stadium. Huge bright spot.
Yeah. So Will Levis go in there and throw 4 touchdowns for 400 yards, and that'll be beautiful. All right. Do you have anything to add to that? Any topics you want to talk about?
I think I've pretty much covered. I mean, you could get into the specific stats on the offensive line play, but they're bad. I mean, their offensive line isn't great. I mean, they're bad.
It started off so promising too.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Duncan, he was a bright spot for me. Radens was okay. I was trying to look back. I think he did allow a few pressures, but Skoronski, he played a great game. And like I said, Duncan was kind of a bright spot for me on the line. I think that I think he could be a piece to something bigger, when they try to rebuild this. But I mean, it was tough. It was tough. There's not a lot to go off of in a game like that. Happy for Jeff, happy for Will, but I mean, we'll see what happens the rest of the year.
Yeah. And again, why? I just don't understand why you bring those plays out at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Are you trying to just mess with us and give us hope for the future? Is that all you're doing? Just losing? I mean, somebody brought that up to me at work, and I was like, actually, that's plausible. The way you describe it like that is plausible. But I was like, I still don't think Vrabel's that kind of coach. I think he wants to win more than anything. Like you said, winning fixes everything. Mm-hmm. But if he's really not worried about his job, then, I mean, as a GM, I definitely want the highest draft pick I could get, because then if you want to trade down or whatever, you've got way more options. But again, I don't see him doing that, and he would have to lie to every player and coach.
Yeah.
I don't know. That just doesn't seem. I don't know.
One more point I'll bring up, and just kind of something to think about, and it's gonna sound crazy at first, but I feel like it is a topic that's going to get a little bit of traction. Are we at a point where it seems that you're so unsuccessful with these Derrick Henry runs that you start featuring Spears as your lead number one? And the reason I ask, because going back again to how many times Henry's facing those 8-man boxes and how Spears is consistently making guys miss. I feel like, and hey, let's be real. I think it's more likely than not that Henry's not here next year. I feel like that's becoming a reality, just based on the contract ending and him being a free agent. You didn't draft Spears. Carthon did not go draft Spears as a backup. I promise you.
No. He's in line to become the next. I mean,
So
either the next or juggling between two. Yeah.
So are we kind of at a point now where it's like, okay, we're developing Levis in this offense. Do we start developing our future back in this offense with him?
Honestly, I think he's already. I mean, he's eaten into Henry's snap count a lot. He's even been featured a couple games, more plays than Henry has.
He has, but a lot of those were blocking. It wasn't him running the football. Are we at a point where we want to see him taking away the actual carries from Henry, not the snap counts, but are we okay with Spears taking away his carries?
That's a really hard question for me to answer because I love the King.
I do too.
Really,
but I mean, you're 3-7. You're obviously building for next year. Again, it's something to think about, and I know I saw it discussed one other place, and I've been thinking about it. I mean, I heard it this morning, and I've been thinking about it all day. Like, I feel like, does Derrick Henry even give you the best chance to win anymore? Does he?
I knew that's where this was going. All right. Oh man, that's such a hard question to ask.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he has improved his game on many different levels as far as the pass blocking and receiving out of the backfield, screen passes. He's doing a lot better than he was 3-4 years ago.
Yep.
But I don't. Someone asked me already if Henry has not lost a step, but more given up a step because he's not playing for a contending team and all this stuff. And again, I mean, I could see him trying to save his juice for next year. Or
I wouldn't even
try to extend his career.
I don't even think he's lost a step or he's holding a step back. I think that his type of play, the type of running back that he is not going to work in this offense right now with the offensive line you had, because he's a guy who needs to get to that second level.
Oh, yeah.
He's
well,
a big
I'll
dude.
Agree with you on
it
that.
takes a little bit to get him going. I'm not even saying he's holding anything back. I'm just saying with Spears and what his capabilities are, being a smaller back, being that quick cutter, being that guy who can get to the outside quick, does he work better with the current offense in the state that it's in? And does he give you a better chance to win than what Derrick Henry is right now?
I'll say this. It takes away that certainty on the off or defense that when Henry comes in, we're going to run. So it kind of does take a little bit of balance away from the defense because they don't know. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But again, I still think he's at least top 3, if not the best running back in the NFL. And if you've got the best running back in the NFL, how do you not play him?
At the same time, Spears is one of the top rookies. He's outperforming Bijan. I mean,
I get it.
Stack him up again, and I'm not. I know but when you stack him up against the rookies, the dude's outperforming them. I don't.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
I don't. I honestly think if the offensive coaches aren't arguing about this, then they're not doing their jobs properly.
Absolutely.
They should be. This should be a heated debate in the Titans facility right now because Spears has really shown up. But He's still a rookie though, so I'm really impressed. I can't knock the guy at all. I started to, and then I just backed up because I can't really knock the guy, even for falling off a couple games. Man, he's a rookie, dude. I mean, and he came from Tulane, y'all. It's not like he even came from a huge school.
3rd round.
So super impressed with him. Can't say anything bad about him, and can't disagree that maybe he should take some of Derrick Henry's carries.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say on it,
maybe we should use Derrick Henry just as like a featured short yardage back. Or
that's his threat right now. He's a red zone threat. He's a short yardage threat. I mean, that's in this offense with the state that it's in, with the state this line is in. That's his main threat.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah,
and I'll end it on this. I mean, again, I love Derrick Henry, and I know people will be burning stuff down if he gets 5 snaps and Spears gets 30.
Oh yeah,
but I think you'd have success, and I don't think I'd be mad about it because I want to see Henry do well, and I think he still will. I don't think it'll be with this team. If I'm being honest with myself, I don't think it'll be with this team. And getting Spears those reps for the rest of the year, I wouldn't be upset about it if it happened.
Let me re-answer the question.
Okay.
Because you brought it up great. If we win the games where you take Henry's carries away, then yeah, it's a great idea.
Yep.
If we lose, though, every fan is going to say that's why we lost. Because
whether it is or not.
Yeah. Whether it has anything to do with it or not, they're going to be like, oh, that was why we didn't win, because Henry didn't have the ball. You didn't feed the king.
Agreed.
Which I kind of, I kind of understand where they're coming from. That's how we have grown accustomed to winning over the last few years. But we also have to understand we are, as a whole franchise, trying to change a lot about the way we go about things. And one of the things we want to change is, or I think personally, is that run first, heavy defense or offense.
Yep. I think that to be successful, you're going to have to be a passing off. I mean, it's just what works in the NFL right now. And I feel like, and I just saw the comment, and I don't totally disagree, but he gives you a better chance than Henry because of what he's able to do.
I was going to say, I can't agree with that statement simply because so far Spears has outperformed Henry. I don't want to say it too much because it's hurtful, but it's true. If you look at his averages, he's blowing him out of the water.
Yeah, and I don't think, just like people say all the time, there is not a quarterback in this league that could be successful behind this offensive line. I don't know that there's a running back in this league that can be successful behind this offensive line, but I feel like Spears gives you a better chance at this point.
I was making pro comparisons with him the other day. One of my friends likes to do that. He's always asking me about the rookies and stuff, and I honestly had to throw down a UT guy, but I was like, he reminds me a lot of Alvin Kamara, and I hope that he has the same sort of success that Kamara does. Because it does remind me a lot of Alvin Kamara. The way he runs and gets the pass and just creates a play out of nothing, makes guys miss naturally. I don't know how he does that, but it's a pretty thing to watch. Like you were talking about when we were, he was hit at the 5-yard line or whatever by the first guy, and he stutter stepped at the 5-yard line, and dude went almost past him, but kind of grabbed him a little bit, and then he ended up twisting or spinning the other guy, and it took 3 guys to bring him down, and he was only a yard short of making the first down. And it was like you said, man, he got hit somewhere around the 3 to 5 yard gain area and fought for those extra 9 or 4 yards to make it almost the first down.
Yep. So, and I think he can do the same thing in the run game. And just if anybody watches the video later, not live, and comments, well, Henry was second in the league up until this last week. Okay, but are you winning games? It doesn't matter how many times he carries the ball, how many yards he gets. If you're not winning games, it ain't working. It doesn't matter. Are you trying to get Derrick Henry yards, or are you trying to win a football game?
Well, that's what we've all been saying all offseason anyway, is that we need to stop this style of gameplay because if we don't succeed in 1 or 2 drives, we lose the whole game because the other team can just pass the ball, and
Yep.
that's our issue is we can't pass the ball.
Yep.
So our focus really shouldn't be on running the ball with Derrick Henry. You actually, dang man, you're starting to like whittle me down here. Every minute you're whittling me further and further down,
I
but you're
had to
making a
start
lot of
some
sense.
kind of controversy towards the end of this.
I
It's
don't
something
like
to
it
think
though.
about. And like
Yeah, I
you
just don't like it.
and you summed it up perfectly though. If we're arguing about this and they're not arguing about this in that offensive room, there's a bigger problem because this
Yeah.
should be something that is being talked about inside of that facility is, hey, what's our goal here? I mean, are we building for the future? Are we trying to make a playoff push? Are we trying to build Derrick Henry up and make him look like the best running back that's ever been in Tennessee? You've got to decide what you want to do. And right now, I feel like that's a bigger problem too. It's, do we want to be a passing team? Do we still want to try to run the ball for it? There's no identity right now. There's not. Your
Agreed.
identity is we're trying to make a rookie quarterback good for next year. That's your identity at this point. And you've got to have more than that because teams see that and they're just going to blitz the hell out of him and put him on the ground. And you've got to change something moving forward. And that's my rant for the end.
You're not wrong, man. And I'm
just-
starting to think you might be right. So I don't
Yeah.
know. You're starting to convince me just the more I think about it. But yeah, absolutely. Everybody, that should be a heated debate right now as to who gets the most carries and who gets the bigger play calls, really. You know, who plays more, who gets the, third down reps. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a good-
and I like
good
the split
question.
action. I like having them both in there, but it's almost the same way with quarterback. If you got two, you ain't got none.
Well,
I
it
mean,
just stinks because you have to take away one of the passers.
Exactly.
Or catcher, excuse me, one of the receivers.
Exactly.
Either you have to take one of the tight ends and use him to block, or you got to waste a receiver, which you're using running backs, which Spears is kind of like a receiver, but yeah, he's a running back.
I want to see him run the ball more personally. I mean, he's had success. I mean,
he's electric and he's exciting. I will say that.
Yep.
When he was running that play, I even remember jumping off the couch when he just completely smoked that dude. I mean, he just it was pretty. He was like, that dude was over there. It just shuddered at him. It was great. But you bring up a good point, Link. I think we're about done for tonight. Tell them where to find you at, brother.
You can find me at Link Rogers on Twitter. I got the same name on Facebook. Shouldn't be too hard to look up. Ask me questions. Give me some more controversies to start, but I'd love to talk to anybody who wants to do it.
Right on, man. And everybody should know this by now, but if you don't, you can find me at the Titans Global Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Go to the YouTube, like and subscribe. That really helps me out. If you want to help me out, that's the best way to do it. If you want to find me personally, Maximus Titan Fan, I'm on Facebook and Twitter. You can come follow me there. Hopefully we have a better week this week with Carolina. Yep. If we don't, I'll be one depressed Titans fan, and I'll be talking about how we're going to lose out for the rest of the season.
I'll at least be a fat one. Everybody have a happy and safe holiday.
That's right. Tighten up. Peace out. Have a happy Thanksgiving.